Hey, you there. Thank you for watching and welcome to Four Times Forever. Today I have a 3v3 ladder matcher on the most amazing Noxus map generator. So let's go ahead and introduce our teams and our players. Starting off with Team 1 on the northeastern side of the map, and we'll end with Team 2 on the southwestern side of the map. Take a look at Team 1's northern player first. We have in orange, the color orange. It is B-Russ. He's playing as an Aeon for this match as a 1470 rated. To his south in Chevy Crimson, it is the Seraphim of Excited with 2 X's. He is a 1758 rated. And last but not least, for Team 1, we have towards the southern tip of their landmass, it is Psalm 19-1. He is an Aeon for this match as the 2118 rated player. He is the highest rated player on Team 1, barely being out by Team 2's highest rated player. So for Team 1 side of the map, they have 0 UEF and 0 Cybern, 2 Aeon, and 1 Seraphim. Taking a look at Team 2's southern player, we have in Amethyst Purple, it is Tal Zading playing as a UEF. He is a 1361 rated. To his north, we have in Royal Blue, it is the Cybern of Dimitri 11. He's an 1864 rated for Team 2, again playing as a Cybern. And rounding out Team 2, we have in Stitch Blue, it is Orb. He's playing as a UEF. He is a 2155 rated, the highest rated player on Team 2 and in the game overall, beating Psalm's rating at about 30-ish points of rating. I think it's 37 to be exact. Or no, that's math. Anyway, taking a look at Team 2's overall lineup, they have 2 UEF, 1 Cybern, 0 Aeon, and 0 Seraphim. So each faction is represented during this match. However, Team 1 lacks UEF and Cybern, which Team 2 has, but Team 2 also lacks Aeon and Seraphim. So Team 1 has what Team 2 lacks, and Team 2 has what Team 1 lacks. Taking a look at their reclaim situation, of course, before they scoop it all up. Let's take a look at their count. Currently sitting at, that's not a lot. It's not even 1,000 mass per player. It's something. It's 4,500 or so before they, dropped it just a little bit, but it's not really worth writing home about. And I will note that besides the main base and kind of the mexes nearby, there's really nothing to fight over in this map. We see in the middle we have 1, 2, 3, 4 tri/quad mex positions. And we have 1 mex down here in the southeast and 1 mex up here in the northwest. Besides that, all of the other mass for Team 1 and Team 2 reside in their main land masses. And of course, given the fact that there is a decent amount of water on the map, it is going to be a fluid engagement with Navy probably fighting this way and fighting this way as the main sort of lanes. I don't expect to see too much maybe down this way. We might see some crossover if, Naval forces go this way or this way, but I don't expect anything directly across the middle of the map. We do see some forces have dropped off for Team 2's Orb, trying to establish themselves in a nice little quad mix position here on Team 1 side of the map and maybe delay expansions at a bare minimum, at least this way. We do see Team 1's B-Russ is inbound, and maybe we'll see Excited move in with his comm. He's going for a naval facility now, but I wouldn't be surprised if he hooks up and tries to kick out Team 2 over there. In the southeast direction, we do see a couple of interceptors flying around, and Team 1 Navy is now online for Psalm, but no drops inbound from Team 1, at least as of yet. In terms of where everybody else in the game is moving around, we do see that Team 2's Orb is actually just walking across the map, moving to his newly minted base over in the northeast. We do see Team 1 spots him, so they're somewhat aware of that comm's imminent arrival. We do see Team 2's mid player of Dimitri 11 going for maybe T2 air soon, as he has not made his way to any sort of water re-engagements. We do see his units have actually moved over here and established a couple of mexes, not a couple of mexes, a couple of facilities there. And we do see that Team 2's southern player of Tal is moving in to grab his own facilities. So everybody looks like might be dipping their toes into Navy at least one way or the other. Either their comm is physically in the water and forces are being rallied to build facilities, or soon we'll probably see Team 1's B-Russ most likely once he kicks out Orb, establish some facilities right outside of that nice little beachfront property there. We do see BOS is now inbound for killing off all of the T1 facilities and units trying to be spammed up. The comm is inbound. And in 3v3s, ladder matches in general, we don't really see a lot of combi. It's very interesting because we either see a lot of combi-com action or we see no combi-com action. So we'll see if there's any prolonged engagements here. We do see Team 1 PD has been started here for BOS. Maybe trying to get some assistance here. We do see Orbis inbound. There is the shots between the commanders. Technically, it's one-sided for now, but I wouldn't be surprised to see them trade blows here shortly. But it is the first com-to-com action fallback, or we will retaliate. It's excited. A little bit of threatening going down there. We do see Team 2's excited isn't going this way like I thought. He's actually going the other way, probably trying to lock off Team 2's retreat. And he is moving in most likely for the facilities. It looks like he's going for some T2. He already has T2 engineering speed on board, so he's going to try to lock off Orb's retreat vector. Probably not going to go well for him. Orb actually a little bit reclaiming here. Engineers trying to build a Team 1 PD. He's going to deny those. One more engineer is going to be killed off there. Team 1 PD will be built in time. And it might be enough to throw Orb backward. BOS in the green, Orb in the yellow. And again, he's already dropped 25% hit points, maybe closing on 50% now. And his escape vector not looking good. Unfortunately for Excited, he's kind of shooting uphill. So line of sight weapons like those Utashalas, or not great weapons, at least in that regard. You might want to go for the Trident or the Oblivion, where they have that's not a super big arc, but it is enough to go at least a little bit over a hill. Naval engagements probably soon on the rise in the southern pond. Northern pond, it's not really going one way or the other. It's very much a kind of in, not stasis, but kind of hiatus mode where there's not really a lot of interaction between the units. But we do see it is slowly being won by Team 1. We do see BOS with some more forces now inbound. Team 2's excited, actually just PD creeping a little bit and trying to deny the rest of those emplacements. Did he reclaim that other one? Yeah, he did. He did actually reclaim the other one, and is now spending the mass, what he spent on that one, on this one, to force Team 2's orb out. Again, he's in the low yellows, not looking good. He needs a clean walk over there, or he is going to die. We do see Team 1 bombers inbound. They're going to be too late to catch up to the comm, but a T2 air comes online, which it already is. We could see some Torp bombers in Team 1 target that commander. We see that Team 1 doesn't know where he is, but they're probably aware that he went this way, so they're probably going to start looking for anything, walking this way here shortly. Maybe we'll see a transport rescue orb from that walk all the way across the map, but we shall see. It looks like he's kind of going more of a west by southwest direction, maybe for that Team 1 mech's position there, and then a hook straight south. That might be the safest mode of transportation or walking, but I think Team 1 has spotted him now. Oh, they definitely have spotted him. And those torpedoes are raining in. They will eventually whittle that comm down. It will take a little bit of time because they are Team 1s. But I don't think he's getting home unless he gets a transport to come pick him up. I think that's the only way he gets out of there at this point. T2 Air not online for Team 2's Dimitri. We do see T2 Air online going for T3 for Tal's the Ding. And how is Orbs doing on his comm? He's in the red now, below 25%. Excited, actually walking after him. We do see Team 1 subs just really trying to deal with these subs from Team 1. I'm assuming it's counter subs from Team 1. Yes, it is. They're stacking up here for now. Probably going to move in here shortly. Orb dropping continuously. And we see a nice little T2 Torp bomber inbound to really just drive those hit points into the, zero territory. 1,000 hit points remaining and falling. And Orb is a very aggressive play, but he's going to get killed off for this. There he goes. First player of the game to be eliminated is Orb, the highest rated player in the game at 10.5 minutes. And that puts Team 2 at a disadvantage at now 3v2. But I will note that Team 2 is winning the pond in the southeast. We do see actually Team 1 facility built on the shore of Team 1. Looks like they're producing T2 Torp launchers to just really rip apart that T2 Naval headquarters. I think that's one of the first times I've ever seen a facility built that aggressively close to the opponent's headquarters, and it's now targeting that headquarters as we speak, trying to build a beacon class, I would presume, destroyer, but I don't think that's going to be built anytime soon. Again, at a bare minimum, if Team 2 doesn't win the shoreline, they will at least probably win the teching up engagement, which will give them some advantage with not necessarily securing yet, but just slowly dealing with the remaining torp bombers from Team 1 as we speak. I would presume that cruisers are starting to be built. It is Cybran and a UEF for Team 2, and it's Aeon and Seraphim, so both teams have access to cruiser missile tech. One in the form of Seraphim for Team 1's Excited, and two in the form of, well, it used to be Orb and Tal Zading, but now it's just Tal Zading. And technically, I guess Dimitri has access to UEF tech now. Team 1 frigates are nice and all, but definitely need those cruisers on the front line. T2 Naval Headquarters is down. Torp launcher is being targeted by some Hovertech Aurora. Again, torpedoes do not work on Hovertech units because they're not actually in the water, but we do see a cruiser now coming onto the scene from the Siren. And I would presume T2 Navy is not being built actually by Tal Zading, which I think is interesting because he does have those cruisers missiles, and that'd be very beneficial of shelling the nearby main base of Psalm to start driving Team 1's Eco into a crater. We do see in terms of Eco Team 1 barely winning, but again, not by much. I guess dipping up into the 40s, 30s or so, but it's not a terrible amount to be ahead, but it is something to bare minimum. No T2 yet on this northern side. This would probably be the facility if it is going to be the headquarters. Lots of spam going to be built here shortly. Maybe just try to protect it as much as possible. Team 1's BRS not going into Navy just yet. Oh, what's up here? No, that's a Seraphim's facility, not an Aeon one. So maybe not. Maybe he won't go into Navy. We do see he does have some gunships online. We do see some frigates moving in to try to lock off the supply lines, but that's going to slow down Team 2's aggression, not necessarily fully stop it, because we even see more facilities being built on the front lines, because why not? And that presence from Team 2 will be slowly eradicated, but again, they don't own it entirely, but they own enough of it, and again, they only have to deal with the Hovertech and the air units, nothing in the water from the southern side. The northern side's a different story, but we'll see how well they are at dealing with this. We do see more and more destroyers. I would like to see just a couple more cruisers dotted around because they really need some AA to deal with those torp bombers from Team 1. But they also need, of course, stuff to deal with the blazes as well. So maybe some of those riptides would be useful for Tal Zading to build up. But he is going for T3 air, so he's probably focused on that, which he is. And he has an ASF being produced now. Not gunship, but PGen being produced. Team 1, T2 air, T2 air, and T2 land. So no T3 yet for Team 1. And an attempt to, not necessarily lock out Team 1 of Navy on the northern side, but just slowly push them back has been made an attempt. Just some forces just trying to annoy and maybe distract from intercepting any sort of supply lines from Team 2 on the southern side there. And on the western side, still T2. No, T2 Navy has been started for Dimitri, so he is going for that. In terms of Eco, it's about the same in terms of difference. Team 1 now getting some sort of presence in Navy, immediately going for T2. Definitely the smart play there, trying to get their destroyers and their cruisers online to try to again push back Team 2 on the southern side. They need to keep the pressure up because if they let this sit here and fester, it's going to come back to bite them, and they might lose Navy because of it on that southern side. More and more, looks like. Are those barracudas? No, those are mermaids. He's building a mermaid. We'd like to see maybe some barracudas. Granted, they are, targetable by torp bombers, but they can't be affected by hovertech. So it's kind of a, well, we can't shoot at you, so you can't shoot at us, kind of thing. You see some bombardment on some exterior mexes for Team 1. Again, a couple of T2 mexes in the middle of the map. It's going to be lost. It's going to be no man's land. For probably the foreseeable future. Team 2 already lost these mexes here, so they're there. Maybe Team 2 will get them, or Team 1 will get them to secure Navy, but I highly doubt it. And given this map isn't very big, it's still clearing the 20 by 20 range, given the northern and southern edges are visible in the play space. Realistically, it's probably close to a 15. It's probably a 16 by 16, to be honest, in terms of size. And for 3v3, that is a pretty good size as well. Lots of room to move around. You don't feel as confined, especially with the landmass that players have. It's just not as inviting for a lot more players, especially with the limited amount of mexes that they really have to play with. And we do see, now are they going to sprout legs and walk around and come say hi? No, cruisers being targeted, it looks like. Definitely the smart play there. Shoot at the things shooting at you, and then shoot at the things that can't shoot at you now. There's all the stuff that could shoot at you and now dead. We do see flat cannons can't target ground units like the Cybern forces can, or at least the Cybern AA forces can, but now we're seeing mexes being eliminated from Psalm's pocketbook, or at least his income streams. We do see Team 2 essentially just cutting him off. He has a couple of facilities up here to the north. That's where his T2 land headquarters is. His T2 air one's actually down here. It looks like maybe trying to sandwich in between these two sets of forces, but I don't think that'll really work. There's a lot of essentially just coagulating going down for Team 1. That destroyer is down. The second destroyer is going to just be bum rushed by Blazes. Just Blaze. And he did eliminate a couple of mexes, to be fair, so Team 1 is losing a little bit of eco. Team 2 now in the lead, but that should be easily recoverable, especially with the wrecks that Team 2 has so nicely donated to Team 1. Western side T2 Navy is done going for cruiser, or that's cruiser, not a destroyer. I keep thinking, again, it's very easy to tell because one has a flat back and the other one doesn't, so it's really easy to figure out what is being built because the icons look very similar, so it's just one of those, it's an easier way to just visualize than look at the little icon being built. I wish maybe a little bit that more differential between the two, but you know, what can you do? We do see more forces inbound from Dimitri 11. Again, not a lot of forces pushing in from Tal. Again, he's focused on air, which I don't blame him. He has some ASFs now flying around, trying to, again, secure the skies. I wouldn't be surprised if Team 1 throws up a couple of cruisers or even just some flat cannons over here just to encourage Team 2 to not go that way, but we'll see if they end up going that route. Maybe even some T3 AA, but probably just T2 because it's less expensive and whatnot versus T3. Anybody else going for air for Team 2? I'm kind of surprised that Dimitri 11 hasn't gone for his own T2 at a bare minimum just for his own torp bombers, but we'll see if he ends up going that route. We do see cruiser missiles being deployed by Team 1's Excited, and no naval facility here for Team 1's Beerus anywhere. I mean, even just like a, hey, I'm just going to build a facility up there to call it a day. Kind of similar to what we see for Tal Sading, just to produce, you know, some frigates or subs or something to maybe just assist the main player going for Navy. Your Navy is idle, use it, says Psalm. He's talking about this one. Looks like he's going to force an engagement this way. That's not going to be great because, again, Dimitri has been fighting a war on two fronts, and yeah, I think he's been microing this one a little bit. Well, actually, this one a little bit more than he has this one up here. So it's definitely the weaker of the two. He's getting a lot of eco, of course, from that secondary base from Orb, but in terms of microing the forces themselves, I think it's a little bit more lax on it. We do see, again, it's only hover from Team 1 for now. We do see a couple more destroyers. So they're starting to get their backbone of naval fleet back, but Team 2 has built up enough that once they start dealing with the rest of these hover tech units, they're actually somewhat ignoring the hover and going straight for the destroyers. They don't even want to deal with the hover right now. And that's not great for Team 1. They need to keep those destroyers alive long enough to build up enough of a fleet to punch back. Laser weapons, of course, on the Seraphim. Very, very nice to have because they hardly ever miss. And there is a cruiser in there, one destroyer in there, but the numbers are favoring Team 1, and I think the northern engagement is not looking good for Team 2, so maybe a little bit of counterclockwise momentum in favor for Team 1 that way, and then, of course, for Team 2's favor that way. Closing in on the 20-minute mark, we have Team 1 and Team 2 roughly the same amount of eco. I'd say map control about 50-ish. 50-50-ish. We do see some mexes still here from Team 1. Nothing we built for Team 2 in the middle yet. But that might just because there's a little bit more APM to go around for Team 1 than Team 2. But again, the fleet for Team 2 not looking good. Destroyers really trying to be pumped out as fast as possible. But there's only so much hover and only so many units being assembled or produced or manufactured or whatever that it's not going well. Now we have another set of destroyers bombarding the headquarters, and yeah, Asylum's going to help out a little bit, but I don't think they'll help out enough. Western side T2 headquarters not looking good. We have some torp bombers inbound from Tal Zading to assist, but it's again one of those scenarios where they just needed more fleet here and they didn't have it, and The facility is gone, so Team 2 is going to be locked out of Navy on the northern side for probably the rest of the game. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe there'll be a resurgence, kind of like we see over here on the east, but I kind of doubt it. That's just me being the caster and just looking at trends. But we do see T2 Navy is lost on the southern side for Team 1. So again, it's very much a mirroring effect. And we have torp bombers inbound going after the cruisers. And just other units to just distract the shots of the cruisers. And now naval bombardment is underway. And maybe we'll see some land units emerging from these naval units. We already saw them do it one time, and maybe we'll see them do it a second time. P-gens looks like they're being targeted. They're missing all of their shots. I don't know what they're shooting at, but they're not shooting at the things that you would think that they're shooting at. T2 headquarters now being targeted. That looks like it's going to be the focal point. And no more T2 air for Team 1 Psalm. And again, he's already fallen back to this position, so there's going to be hopefully no surprises on that front. T3AA going to help out a little bit, but I think it's a little bit too late to deal with any sort of air from Team 2 for now. It'll be nice later if Team 2 starts deploying air units on that shoreline over there, but I highly doubt they'll really send a lot of forces that way. We do see engineers dropped off by Team 1's excited, going for reclaiming opportunities. Really just trying to strip the land or water, in this case, of as much resources as possible. 43 to 13,000 reclaims, so doing a very good job there, staying in the lead because of roughly that reclaim at this point in the game at 22 minutes. In terms of total mass accrued, and those destroyers have now left their watery homes and have started to sprout their, I was going to say wings, but legs, and move on to bigger and better horizons, I guess. We have blazes inbound, but looks like circling of the wagons a little bit for Team 2, and that's not really going to work. You got to keep getting in behind the destroyers because they can't fire. Essentially, it's like this small cone that they can't really shoot at. It's best to hide essentially right behind them, but when you stack them up like this, it's kind of hard to really do that, and it takes APM and all of that. But Team 1 Psalm pretty much losing all of his stuff, so at the moment, he's still at 100 mass for now, but that number should be dropping here shortly. And whereas Team 2 already lost Orb, and then the base for Dimitri, when it was gifted over to Dimitri, he's kind of used what he could out of this base and built up his main base down here. Team 1 Psalm is kind of out of luck with that. He did have a T3 mech there, but his remaining mass income is going to be definitely slowly withered away and dried up. But you see a couple of T2 PD. That is going to help a little bit, maybe drive away the remaining destroyers, but they don't have the range that T2 artillery does, which is usually what you see deployed against these essentially glorified mobile artillery at this point. And go full restore now, says Beerus. Maybe we'll see not cruisers, but gunships be built up, but I don't know. Looks like he's just going for ASFs now. We have PGen, a little bit of farm here. Looks like a secondary air grid possible. It's only T2, both in the PGens and the air facility department, but still T2 for some torp bombers, so there's that. Team 1's now launching an assault this way down the middle of the map. Not really pushing in, but they're being annoying with the cruiser missiles at a bare minimum. But Team 2 does have Cybern Tech, which means they have sirens, which means they have missile redirect systems on board. So essentially those cruisers could just play catch and just keep throwing the missiles at one another. Granted, Team 1 launches the missile, Team 2 redirects it, and then Team 1 shoots it down. So it's kind of like the catch, but it's not back and forth constantly. It's just back, it goes there and then comes back, and that's it. Looks like first of the destroyers was eliminated, and saw him getting some assistance from those restorers to help out. And looks like they're being driven away now. ASF's inbound, just a couple of them sent off from Tal's the Dig, and they were immediately eradicated. He's lost pretty much all of his... Oh, he's actually not doing too bad. He's at 75 mass income. He has more mexes up here, it looks like. So not as many as I thought, or not as few as I thought that he had at this point. And he's actually grabbing mexes on Team 2's side of the map over here. So there is a little bit of trading with mexes, which Team 2 is already doing anyways. But we'll see who ends up getting the last laugh here. We do see some destroyers moving in to go after the cruisers, I would surmise, because those are probably the more annoying of the units, and they are constantly moving because of those missiles and not really helping out. And once they turn around, it's really hard to, again, shoot directly behind them, and this is not great environment for Team 2. They probably should go for T3 Navy. or even just get some cruiser missiles of their own to just annoy Team 1 as well. We do see some units trying to land some, at least defenses on the shorelines and a couple of facilities, I guess. But those restorers are slowly winning away all of the flak. That's the main focus. Aloha being built, that's not going to be there for long. Team D pointed out by Dimitri11, talking about they just need Team D because the cruisers are starting to rain in this direction, which is not going to help Team 2's eco as well. Team 2 barely in the lead, and they definitely want to keep it, especially with the total mass accrued. Still favoring Team 1. Reclaim situation, definitely, I clicked the wrong button, but that'll work. Triple the amount of reclaim for Team 1 than for Team 2. And that would probably go a little bit more as, or grow a little bit more as Team 1 continues to invade land side on that western front. Lots of cruisers, and of course it is not necessarily locking out air, but it's just saying, no, you can't send air that way, and no, you can't send air that way, or at least some of it. You have to send it this way and then go north. Essentially limits their options and essentially forces Team 2 to engage where Team 1 wants them to be and not necessarily where Team 2 wants to go. And Team D being built now. But again, there's a lot of them. We do see, hey, there's a destroyer, just floating on this little access hatch this way. Access panel, access raceway, access whatever. And the cruisers aren't completely defenseless in terms of direct weapon systems, but their main firepower is in their AA and in their missiles. So as long as that destroyer keeps moving, it's going to wipe out, maybe not necessarily all of them, but so far it's wiped out one. It'll wipe out a second one and probably get maybe a third and then a fourth. But again, can't keep that thing still because it will be shot at. And Team 1's fleet moving in to keep their cruisers alive. They probably didn't notice this little access panel or just thought that Team 2 couldn't send forces that way, but they did. So that's not fun for them. We do see Team 1's Air Force is actually ripping apart the remaining units in the water for Team 2 on the eastern side. So maybe we'll see some reclaiming of the water on the eastern front for a second time, but a third engagement attempt by Team 1 in the water department. We do see a couple of spam units on the front lines, just some Zooey ripping apart some just stationary land forces. Team 2 needs a win either in a kill department or in wiping out another base department or something, because it is not looking good. Air control definitely favors Team 1. Naval control definitely favors Team 1 in terms of map, and they own an entire navy. Team 2 kind of doesn't really, but Team 2 does. Team 1 doesn't have a presence, so it's there. Team 2's T3 and naval headquarters is soon to be under fire. It looks like they did go for T3 tech, which I didn't notice. And that battleship's going to be helpful. It's going to soak up a lot of damage. Again, they're known for their range and they're known for their hit points. They're not necessarily known for their DPS. There's other units that do a lot more DPS, but they have less hit points and less range. So that's one of those scenarios where do you sacrifice DPS for tankiness, or do you take the risk and maybe go for a little bit more glass cannon-y, E being the quotes in that. The Neptune class battlecruiser is kind of a nice mix of both, but still not as much range or hit points as the battleships. We do see Shield started on board. Talos the Dingscom. He also has T2 and gun on board, so a little bit of speed and a little bit of defense in terms of hit points. But now we see some I keep saying cruisers, I don't know why. We see some restorers coming to say hi, and there is some AA being built by Dimitri. And we also seeing T2 and T3. Very, very highly recommend that mixture, especially when you're facing gunships, because gunships like kind of sit there and hang out and shoot at you. They don't really run around the map like Strats or ASFs do. It's nice for just getting AoE consistent damage. It's like throwing fire on the ground and somebody stands in it. They're not going to necessarily, in a video game, they're not going to necessarily die immediately from standing in the fire, but they're slowly, being eaten alive by that fire in terms of hit points. More cruisers for Team 2. Yes, they need also destroyers. They're essentially being hit on two fronts, and the ASFs are not looking good from Team 2. Again, the AA weapons on board those restorers are the best in the game in terms of T3 gunships, so when you get those in large numbers, unless you get a lot of ASFs to blitz down those hit points, this is not a great environment for the ASFs to be in. Team 1 and Team 2 both have Omni sensors online, which I think only one is... actually, no. They only see about here for sure. Team 1's is a little bit further ahead, I imagine, but not by, if I can actually click on it. There we go. Not by much, but I think it's just barely a smidgen more because it looks like it's a little bit closer to the pond. We have a couple of forces from Team 1. Some, either they hovered, it looks like they kind of hovered over, maybe. I don't think a transport dropped them off because I think there's enough AA nearby to just deal with that. Oh, that engineer. Oh, it barely missed those shots. And Team 1's fleet continue to just annoy Team 2 in this really weird bay environment. And again, they're kind of honestly not spreading out as much as you maybe would think. We have another battleship online. That's number 2. We have a third one going to come online, and then a fourth one. So again, that's a lot of HP. That's a lot of range. Team 1 has T2 upgraded to T3 as we speak. Team 1, maybe Naval game coming back online. But again, looks like it's maybe favoring hover tech and gunships more than anything else. And western side, Team 2 is not going to be able to fight back just yet. We have a T2 land facility, actually 2 of them, in fact, for Psalm, trying to establish a foothold in or roughly around where Orb's base was. I can't say is, because A, he's dead, and B, it's not there anymore for Team 2 anyways. And it kind of looked like a Spectre gunship, or like a W was kind of forming there for that group of gunships. I don't know if that was planned or not. But it looked pretty cool. We do see it's definitely a slogfest in Navy, which is kind of what happens eventually with naval forces. There's just lots of units get into a small-ish group and just slug each other to death. And again, that AA you can't bring in about a dozen or so ASF. They're not like broadswords where they're again very good at air to ground, but not very good. Yeah, not very good at AA environment. And we see another attempt again, maybe helping to wipe out a little bit, but it has to be the flak. It has to be the passive AA. And those battleships again, this one's still on the green. It's just kind of hanging out. Looks like we're targeting Team 1's targeting the cruisers, which is definitely the best bet to do. Again, target the stuff shooting at you and then shoot at everything else that can't shoot back. And the restorers are making a play for maybe some mexes down here that are somewhat unprotected, but again, there is some AA starting to be built all around. The ASF's trying to make another attempt, but it's not going to work. I know he really wants to deal with the remaining gunships, which I definitely understand that T2 mexes are going to go down for him. But if he waited maybe a little bit longer and really stacked up those forces, maybe it would have been enough to maybe save that mex or two. He keeps it. And the ASF's flying anyways and get wiped up by Team 1's retreating ASFs. But again, they've driven away Team 1 at a bare minimum. And I don't think they'll go the gunship route again just because there is now a trend of Team 2 builds AA, Team 2 builds AA, Team 2 builds AA. And if you just keep throwing gunships at that, it's just not going to work. I mean, yeah, you can have a couple of them running around, but you have to deal with the AA first. And Team 1 is going to dip toes into Navy once again. T2 Naval Headquarters is going to be started immediately and then spamming up some frigates for some nice protection there. When we have a couple of squadrons inbound of excited Twart bombers, and guess where they're going? And guess what's going to die here shortly? Galaxies have torpedoes, not torp defense, so that one's going to essentially get, not necessarily one-tapped, but pretty much one-tapped. The cruisers, is that an, oh, I thought it was an aircraft carrier, but no. While the remaining cruisers do wipe out pretty much the remaining bombers before they get another payload dropped, but again, one battleship is down, and Team 1, for all intents and purposes, kind of is still winning the winning the naval game. Why are there transports here that just immediately die? I don't know why that happened, but that didn't work. Team 1, they wiped out 2 battleships now. Third one probably will get wiped out, and again, that is the downside with sending all of those forces in, is that they kind of just get bogged down. They have a long reload time comparatively to other units, battleships in general, and lots of hit points, but when you can't shoot very quickly, every shot counts, and every time you miss, that's another 1,000 to 2,000, however much damage. Team 1 can inflict battleships not being built for them. No, he's not going for battleships, he's going for Yassau. So again, more of a glass cannony approach with naval forces going for a ton of the T3 sub-hunters to really just throw torpedoes at their opponents, which, again, in a situation where Galaxies don't have torp defense, Not great. Not great. And they're subs, so those battleships can't target them as easily. They can ground fire, but they can't target them as easily as they can just units that are on the surface of the water or hovering. We do see Talzading and Dimitri 11 underneath the same shield. Definitely not the best idea to put the remaining two players in the same location. Maybe be better off to transport maybe a comm down there in a corner. Maybe even just put them over here. Maybe that's a land situation. Maybe not. Maybe just somewhere that's not next to them. But I do understand wanting to defend the front line because that is a constant annoyance. Oh, and I've had that on Reclaim for a while, haven't I? That's apologies for me. Team 1, 1.1k to Team 2, 700. So not doubling, but almost. Well, they are 1.5 timesing at a bare minimum Team 2's eco. So that's not great for longevity for Team 2. They need to get a big win one way or the other. Like I said, either wipe out a whole base or wipe out a player. But Team 1's going for the bigger approach with a nice little Apocalypse nuke launcher coming online. Not coming online, currently being loaded. I guess that's kind of the same thing if the nuke is loaded, ready to go, if the nuke is online. I think it's kind of the same thing. You might have a difference of opinion, of course, but it's semantics. It's pretty much the same thing. No T3 air for Team 2's Dimitri, but he did go for T2, so at least he has torp defenses of his own. And again, those Yasaus pumping out a ton of torpedoes, all those yellow little dots moving around the map, moving in the water. We do see, is that some ground firing going down from Team 2, or is that just... were those surfaced? Those look like they were surfaced. Those ones aren't. The other ones kind of look like they were. Team 1's fleet has pretty much been driven away. And again, they need a win. But again, now they have a new enemy or a re-emerging enemy in the water. Team 1's Psalm is getting his revenge. He went straight for T3, going for the Omen class battleship. And what would be even funnier if he gets his Torrent class missile ships online and really rains some missile fire down on Team 2. We do see a couple of Riptides hanging out. Not a lot of damage, but, you know, it's annoying. Killing off engineers is always nice to reduce, increase construction times of units, because engineers typically reduce construction times. Shield is down, at least I would imagine that was a shield, and a couple of T2 mexes here. That's 9 mass a second each, which will help, but Team 2 still hasn't crossed 800, at least that I've noticed. Nuke pointed out by Tal, but is that going to be soon enough? Because it's half loaded roughly. Team 2, you do have an SMD. It was somewhat newly minted, so that might be enough. Team 2 doesn't have an SMD here, which that will definitely be a target, because it's either going to be this base or it's going to be this base. Those are really the two best options. Maybe you can make an argument for the naval headquarters, but I feel like immediately impactful would be the loss in mass, because you don't have mass, can't produce units. You're stuck with what you have. Is you can slowly will that away instead of dealing with more and more reinforcements. And those battleships are moving in. They're trying to take advantage of Team 1's lack of forces to the north. But again, now they have this force down here to the southeast to deal with. And it's that, you know, they are getting pulled and pushed. And it's just not a good engagement for Team 2. They're stuck between a rock and a hard place. And both of them are slowly squeezing in on both sides. And western side, Team 1 PD being spammed up. Rhinos not having fun times there. T3 land, no T3 land, which I'm a little surprised, but maybe just didn't want to invest in a T3 land headquarters on the front line over there. Mass FAF farms being built to scale the eco even more. And again, all the fighting has been happening on Team 2's side of the map for the most part, bar Psalm's base that was killed off. So they can easily not really worry about a whole lot of rebuilding mexes and building more shielding and dealing with this, that, and the other thing. They can just eco and build more air facilities and whatnot. Or, in this case, a nuke. Not have to worry about constant reconstruction. Oh, man. It's just the Yasaus. I mean, they have torp defense on board, so dealing with one battleship really isn't an issue. If you start stacking anything up, it does start to be an issue, especially with all the torpedoes being thrown around or jostled around or whatnot. But in the southeast, 2 Omens make an appearance. Is there going to be a missile ship? No, that's an Omen. And that is all. Ooh, that kind of looks like a missile ship. I thought somebody died. But that is Dimitri 11. He built the first experimental of the game. 39 minutes on the clock. First one makes an appearance. And again, Team 2's fleet falls back to deal with this, and then Team 1's fleet continues to bombard them that way. So it's just a, they go this way, they go this way, they go that way, they go that way. It's just a huge back and forth. There's the nuke. Where does it land? It does go after the naval headquarters, again, which is a nice kill nonetheless. Like, it is great to wipe out all the means of production. No more new units coming on the front line. The only downside is I just feel like it's a missed opportunity, especially with this SMD. Maybe could have been loaded in time for Team 2. This one was definitely not going to be loaded in time. But now they are going to be. It's a missed opportunity, but again, it's one of those scenarios where you take the risk, you might win, you might lose, or you take the safe bet. You get the guaranteed return. I think most people like the guaranteed return, which I can't blame them because I do too. Here comes the nuke. Wipes out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 facilities, Team 3 naval headquarters, and now no more Team 3 units for Team 2. That's the last battleship because that one did not make it out of the dockyard. It made it off of the essentially the the shipyard, but it just didn't get out of like port. It was just stuck there. And Team 2's fleet's going to slowly whittle down. We have Team 1 spam facilities to soak up some shots from those battleships. Still no omens? Oh, not omens. Still no missile ships? I did feel like that's a missed opportunity with the omens. Or fight omens with the missile ships. Ooh, is it? No, that's cruiser. Still a missed opportunity, I feel like, because we have the unique T3 sub-hunters, and we could have had the unique T3 torp missile ships. Not torp ships, missile ships. And Monkey Lord cleans out the eastern front. Oh, sorry, western front. I know my directions, I promise. Probably just tired from work is probably what it is. 1 is down. 2 is going to go down. I like how there's just an air staging facility just hanging out in that base, because why not? And then RAS being built on Excited Scum just get even more eco. Nuke killed off. That's a decent amount. Almost 40,000 mass. Again, he wiped out T3 naval headquarters and assisting facilities. So it really wiped stuff out. Overrated, says Dimitri 11. And he actually straight up just control Ks right off screen. That is a departure from Team 2. It's now a 3v1 in favor for Team 1. And it's been a kill and then a departure. So it just leaves Team 2's Tao Zeding remaining. Which, again, the prospects does not look good. Pretty much all the battleships are down. Most of the fleet's already been dealt with. It's just some, which means a lot of, that's actually a lot of Wagner's down there, but I don't know. Oh, they're thinking maybe he's down there, maybe. Made that comment over there, maybe. But Team 1 probably sees him right. Oh, they do see him, so why did they draw that? I don't know. They definitely know where he is. Is he building anything in the back line? He's building a satellite. That's nice. The only problem with it is that 1's not going to be enough by any means. And even I think on this size of a map, the torrent might be able to reach that. It is pretty far from the closest point, which would be right about there. It would be a long ways, but it might be reachable. Missile ship. Still no missile ships. Again, just lots of omens, lots of omens. T3 Navy's probably not going to be rebuilt here. And this facility was wiped out. This one was rebuilt, but the Yasows are ripping apart the Wagners. Team 1's main bulky fleet of battleships is moving in. And it's just not looking good for Team 2. They just don't have a big ticket item or something to really fight back with. If they had artillery online, if they had something, maybe could start wiping out some PGens and mass fabs and maybe the nuke or something, but that's not reloaded. There are SMDs for Team 2 to defend with, 1 at each main base, or roughly near 1 of each main base. A second satellite has been started, and then shields being built. Again, 43 minutes on the clock. It's just, there's not a lot that he can do. He can maybe try to snipe a comm. Maybe, but there's still 2 more commanders to consider. And once 1 gets sniped, the other 2, well, this one's already in the water. For example, Psalm will probably just go into the water immediately if, let's say, Beerus is targeted. And targeting SMDs is nice, but when you don't have a nuke, it's not really that viable. And the fact that there's really not a lot going for Team 2, so they need something more than anything else. Was that +1 that entire time? That could have been +1 the entire time. That is my bad if it was, because I didn't mean for it to be the entire game. Just the intros for the most part. Second, Novax is going to be built here shortly. I do like the shielding here. I wish there was more. It's only T2. It's not a lot, but it is something. But given the fact that we have 2, 4, 6, 7 battleships inbound, T2 Naval Headquarters was built. That's not going to be enough. Are we going to... Hey, there they are. There's the Torrent-class missile ships now making an appearance. It's going to be Torrents, I think, all day at this point. Cruisers from Team 1's excited. We have a chicken inbound. We have the Monkey Lord now in the pond over here from Team 2. Thing's just going to try to turtle up as much as he can, which, again, it's 3v1. 44 minutes on the clock. Team 2 hasn't crossed 1,000. Team 1 at 1.8. Yeah, 8K mass income. So, again, just one of those scenarios where it's just not looking good. That is 1.6, not 1.8. I can read. I promise. I'm just probably tired. I keep saying that, but I just probably am. So, apologies for the a little bit lax in performance from the caster. Had some long day job working hours, so it's kind of starting to I think, to get to me. No other big ticket item besides the nuke, and Beerus is powered. No, it did go offline for a moment, but it's back online now, at least the shield grid. Nuke's going to be protected. There it goes. Back online. And Monkeylet's going to be targeted by all the omens. But again, even if it kills one omen, which, like, nice, it killed off one of the 7 or 8 that are now there. There's the Torrents that are inbound. That's going to be, again, long-range damage. Speaking of long-range damage, that is not the right play I wanted to grab. This is the range, which... If it's already reaching here, then it probably would reach the Novaxes for sure. Yeah, that's not great. We have land invasion now from the hovertech units from Psalm. We have the Yastas that really want to get into the fight, but they can't. We have a Fat Boy online. We have another Novax. Again, enough Novaxes will win the game. Just like 1,000 of anything will kill anything. But you needed them 10 minutes ago at a bare minimum. Building them now, it's nice, but you needed to wipe out the maxes. You needed to wipe out the power. Wow, my voice cracked a little bit. Needed to wipe out the nuke. There's all of these other things that need to be wiped out that will soon be targeted, but it's, I think, too late at this point. There's, again, 2 satellites over top. They're building maybe more shielding to deal with that. We have P-gens that are going to explode, kill off these mass webs, and those engineers building more power. And again, that is going to slowly help, but he's running out of time. He's running out of map. He's running out of everything else, and it's not looking good. Third Novax about to come online. ASF's just spinning over there in the corner. Nuke launcher going to be built. That's nice to see, but again, maybe too late. And he probably needs to move his comm. He's building Team 1 PD, but again, it's going to get outranged by the missiles. So just build TMD, build shields. Those are probably the 2 best things to build, and PD, deterring any land units. But those missile ships are really what's going to get him in the end. Oh, it's going to be close. It's going to be... oh, no. This Novax is definitely in range. This one's probably the only questionable one. This one's probably in range. Needs more shielding. He does have a lot of engineering drones to help, but not a lot of TMD. 46 minutes on the clock. Team 1, I don't think, has any idea. They haven't had any idea about the Novax. Well, they probably do because of the stuff overhead. But... It's just one of those things where it's not gonna work. At least I don't think it's gonna work. Again, who knows? I could be proven wrong. Wouldn't be the first time. Won't be the last time for sure. Move Frigs from front, please, says Psalms. That way, again, those Torrents can get even closer. It looks like they're having some pathfinding issues, and he just... That works. Just control K them. Doesn't need them now. Team 1 owns both ponds, so there's that. Mass Fab Farm wiped out. Looks like they're targeting more of the P-gens, maybe some of the shielding. Again, SMD is not worth taking out. Take out the nuke. That's probably a bigger that is a bigger threat. But this is definitely a threat here. You could pull the satellites back for missile defense, for TAC missile defense purposes. We're going after those, again, TAC missile producing nonsense ships. But a 4th Novax now deployed, 5 and then 6, and nuke is being loaded. Again, he still has some mass to bring to bear, but he's probably spending all of it and then some at this point. Oh, he has a little bit of mass in his bar, so he can go negative at least for a little bit of time, but he's pulling back. 48 minutes on the clock, and there's the Control K, which is the G or GG's in chat. and he just sees the end in sight. Maybe he could have lasted maybe a total of 5 more minutes in terms of operational. Oh, I can't do the rings anymore. Oh, that's annoying. I didn't know I thought you could do that. I guess not. Wait, hold on. Let me see. Oh yeah, there we go. Like I was gonna say, I just maybe it deselected me. But yeah, if they moved in right about there, those would definitely be in range. And again, maybe that one would be out of range. That one would probably be, and that one would definitely be out of range. The nuke would be in range, and I think he just wasn't interested in continuing the game. Again, he was wiping out a little bit of stuff, but most of it was kind of already shielded. And Team One's response to build even more PGens, more shielding once they saw those satellites, it wasn't going to make a difference. So unless you got a lot of them together, which he was starting to do, but just not enough time. Let me know down in the comments what you felt about the game overall. Thank you so much for watching it till the end of the video. Usually these ladder matches get a little bit less coverage for the most part, but hopefully you did enjoy. If you did, let me know down in the comments with thumbs and the whatnot. And MVP for me, I do think just don't have not necessarily an opinion, but I just don't have a pick because they all did pretty well. We saw Excited and Beerus kick out Orb. And again, he did a flashy play in trying to take this section of the map, but it didn't work. And then he was forced back and then he died on the way home. And maybe if he got home, maybe this would have been a different game. Maybe. But again, I think once Orb died and Team One is kind of solidified in their places, it just became an APM battle, and Team Two was just on the lesser end, or they were on the shorter end of the stick there, and just could only hold on for so long. So MVPs all around for Team One, but again, not really one standout. But I will note the tenacity of Psalm for going into the water 3 times. First time didn't work, second time didn't work, third time did work, and helped out a decent amount in pushing back the remaining forces and wiping out Team Two's remaining stuff. So again, congrats to Team One for winning. Don't really know who to give the MVP, but let me know down in the comments if you have an opinion, and I will see all of you in the next one.